Hey there guys, so a bit of a follow on from yesterday's video. Um, Programming for the bench press is obviously going to make a massive difference in order to progress from point A to point B. So for me, I typically do 4 working sets. Reps vary greatly. If I'm more in my off season, the reps are anywhere from 6 to 10, typically 8 to 10. In comp prep, different story. But 4 sets is my usual. From that, I then try and select another exercise to work on, one of my weaknesses, like a strength weakness. So for me, for the bench press, I always find that it's going to be my shoulders are going to be the weak link. So that's the exercise I then program in next. Doesn't matter if it's overhead, barbell press, dumbbell press, stones overhead, any of that. It's just an overhead press movement. Again, I try and keep it simple, 4 sets. Reps on shoulder press, I typically aim higher. I just find if I've done it after bench press, shoulders will be fatigued and I don't really want to risk getting injured in any sort of way. So I'm happy to let the reps go as high as like even 20 reps. It doesn't really phase me. Again, 4 sets. And then I try and pick an exercise for stability of the scapula. So when you're benching, I retract and then slightly depress my scapula, and that holds me in a really stable position while bench pressing. So I'll try and pick an exercise that will address that. For me, my exercise of choice is typically the neutral grip pull-ups, and I do them with the retracted scapula. So when you look at it quite, in a simple sort of term, bench press being the main lift, one thing to work on weaknesses, which is the overhead, and then one thing for stability. So, everyone can be different. If someone's triceps are lacking, then your movement for strength might be, narrow grip at bench press. If your shoulders were really unstable during the movement, you're going to go for a lot more of the rotator cuff movements in various positions, just trying to work on whatever is weak. For me, the overhead pressing does work really well, one from a strength standpoint, but in terms of addressing stability of the scapula, if you're lifting something heavy overhead, your scapula basically, and if it's a static hold that is, they just go into a isometric contraction. So all the muscles are just isometrically contracting. You get a lot of stability in that area. And that's why the ones of you that have been following me long enough would have remembered me doing the overhead yoke walks, a lot of the overhead yoke press, because that thing just rocked to and fro. And again, as I said, I always try and keep things to just 4 sets. I don't see any point in using too many exercises to try and get a job done. I'd rather pick a quality movement for each area that I'm trying to, address, and then use that as the benchmark for overall progress within, that movement or what I'm trying to achieve. Example would be, shoulders. I'd prefer to stick to the overhead barbell press, or, if I'm doing barbell press, I stick to the barbell press. I don't want to go and do something small like front raises or, or any of those other smaller, exercises for shoulders. I'd rather just pick one heavy compound movement and use that and be consistent with it to see whether my weaknesses are improving or not. And you'll quickly find out when you get back underneath the bar and see if your lifts are going up or not. How I train in the off season, like pretty much that being the 4 sets, that works really well. When I come into a competition prep, things change a fair bit. I might drop the working sets down to 3 or even 2 at times, because there'll be singles and other things involved in the training block, because I need to try and peak all 3 lifts at once. But if you're just trying to work one lift at a time, and because we're talking about bench press, we'll just focus on that. You'd have your one heavy day being like your 4 sets of pressing for bench, your overhead, and then your back. You'd take a day off, the next day being a rest day. And then when it comes to training legs, I want to train them thoroughly, but I don't want the sessions to be overly taxing. I want to save as much energy as I can for recovery and growth to allow my bench press to continue up. And, some people may not agree with that approach. I mean, each to their own, but it's sort of like if you look at people that do a lot of heavy laboring day in, day out, they will typically struggle in the gym to put on more muscle mass and size just simply because they don't have the energy there to do it. They're expending so much energy working. And if we take that same sort of logic, if you're expending that much energy, training legs and trying to let them recover, it's just going to take away from your overall progress that you're trying to make on the bench press. That being said, I believe, legs need to always be trained at least once a week because you're working the largest muscle groups in the body. They're going to go a long way in terms of helping produce additional hormones, which are going to have a carryover effect to helping your bench press go up. So definitely don't write legs off completely because that's just that's not a wise move at all. I just probably taper back the volume, try and get away with the bare minimum required to still make slight progress, and then try and invest all the rest of the energy into your three big movements in this case, which is the bench press, the overhead press, and the neutral grip pull-ups, or normal pull-ups if you wish to do them. Other things that I'd also then look at would be triceps to help with lockout, so you might do some push downs, laying tricep extensions. Choose what you want, but don't go over the top. Just pick one exercise and do 4 sets of it, because if you're doing bench press and overhead press, essentially you've already done 8 working sets for triceps anyway, so you don't want to have a ridiculous workload or volume for that muscle group. The other one that I'd recommend training is biceps. They help a lot with elbow stability, especially under load. So that's probably another reason why I like the neutral grip pull-ups as well. I can use my lats heavily, but it also puts my arms in a really good position so I can use them effectively when need be. I don't like chin-ups with a true supinated grip. I just find that position's really uncomfortable versus neutral grip just works a lot better for me. Dumbbell curls, barbell curls are a good addition. Hammer curls go really well as well. And then I'd also think about incorporating something for your forearms. So for me, that's the farmer's walks. The ones that I've built have that really thick handle, and that's for the reason of taxing grip heavily. But then also, if you're doing heavy farmer's walks, your back works isometrically again. Your back plays a big role in stability, so you want that there as well. And then lastly is probably your traps, because they help stabilize as well, especially when you're on the bench press and laying down, holding weight over your chest. They play a huge role in stabilization. So for me, when I do the farmer's walk, again, I retract my scapula and then slightly elevate them, because that puts them in a really taxing position, and I might as well tax them and work them out isometrically, especially while I'm gripping the farmer's walk handles, because I'm getting 2 muscle groups thoroughly taxed with just one exercise. And farmer's walks also give me a point of reference of a movement which I can overload over time. So I definitely be working on those. That's pretty much it, except there is one other thing. A lot of the stones, when I pick them up and carry them again, back goes into isometric contraction. My scapula are retracted a lot of the time because you're pulling the weight into you. Forearm, biceps, grip all gets taxed as well, and then so does your core as well. But I found stones were very functional and just a little bit different compared to any of the other gym lifts, and they still contributed. So when it comes down to improving your bench press, obviously you need to bench, and then you really need to work on a weakness, and then something for stability. So they're the ways that I've gone about building a bigger bench press over time. Hope that helped, and just remember to keep it really simple. 4 sets works really quite well. Break times, for me, I typically have 5 to 7 minutes in between sets of anything heavy and compound. I think that's it. If you guys have any further questions, comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you guys haven't already, hit like and subscribe. Have a great day wherever you are.